All right, guys. Today the question comes from one of my students, and it's when do you tap / how hard should you train? Let's talk about it. My name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of Top Level Martial Arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. Black belt under Master Pedro Sauer and Tony Rinaldi. And with me, kind of like a regular guest, is Mr. Tommy Patrick.
It's becoming a pretty regular thing.
We got the fancy microphones.
Yeah, we got cool new clip-on mics. This is nice.
Let us know how you like the sound, guys. I hear that the sound is important.
Yeah, pretty important.
All right. So, Tommy, the question was like, how hard should I train? How hard should I train? When should I tap? I think those two questions are maybe a little bit interlinked, but not necessarily always.
Yeah. I guess if I was just trying to put it all in a nutshell in general, I would say it changes from person to person, but the when to tap part probably doesn't change from person to person. I guess unless, I don't know, maybe you're getting ready for a tournament or something.
Not sponsored.
And yeah, I don't know. I think when to tap is always probably when to tap. But training, that's a little bit more complicated, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they go hand in hand. Because to some degree, I see what you're saying, because you might be training hard, but that has nothing to do with you tapping.
Yeah.
Right. Like you might be taking backs fast and stuff, but you're not getting put in a bad spot. So you don't necessarily even need to tap, or it's just fast transitions and stuff like that. To me, you need to tap when you believe you're in danger. Yeah. But I think you have a great point that changes from person to person. And I would say with experience level too. So when you're a white belt, especially a newer white belt. So I know that there's no such thing as like an advanced white belt, but if you've been training for less than 6 months, or unless you train just hundreds of hours a month, which you probably do not, if you're most people, I feel like you don't know your body as well as you think you do. That's like one of the things that I hear all the time. Like, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm also a medical professional. One of the things I hear all the time is, oh, I know my body. Look, everybody thinks they know their body until they find out that they've got cancer inside themselves. And that's a really dramatic thing. But they didn't know their body, right? You didn't know. You don't know until you have some sort of proof of what's going on. And unless you have something to back it up. So that's where the experience comes in, right? If you've got, thousands of hours on the mat of people moving your arms in certain ways, that there's a low likelihood that it's going to injure it at, angle X.
Yeah.
But if you haven't done that for thousands of hours, you have nothing that you're basing that on except for ego. It's just you thinking you know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You think you know, and then all of a sudden your ACL blows.
Yeah, it's better to be safe if you don't understand the position, like as a white belt or someone puts you in a leg lock and you're like, I'm not sure if I would just tap.
I feel like that when that goes through your head, like I'm not sure what position I'm in, that means that you are not experienced enough to not tap in that position.
It means you already lost. So you just
and can you explode out of it and be fine? What you can do, what you should do, and what's safe to do are sometimes very different things. Can you explode out? Maybe, maybe not. Is it good technique to do so? I'm going to say more than likely not. You might get away with it, but it's probably a terrible thing to do.
Right. And if you're just doing that in the gym, there's no...
Yeah, that's another great point. Yeah. And like if Tommy has me in a heel hook and Tommy knows, and I don't even really understand what the position is, Tommy knows what position he has me in, and he's like, oh, Bill's probably about to tap. And then I just explode my leg out as fast as I can. That puts Tommy in a very precarious position of being the one who feels responsible for making sure I don't get hurt. And while he does have half that responsibility, he can only take half of it. Half of it belongs to me. If I don't know what the position is, or I don't know the proper way to escape, I should be submitting to it. And then maybe afterwards saying, hey man, how do I get out of that, by the way? Yeah. Maybe he doesn't know. And maybe he's like, I don't know, I always just tap to it. Or maybe you go to another instructor and you say, hey, how do I get out of this heel hook? And they're like, oh, well, here's how you do a heel slip. Here's some options, try these things out, but, be ready to tap at any given time. They're going to give you explanations of things that could happen. I feel like you're putting other people at risk by not submitting at the right times too. And again, it's an experience thing. If you've been there 1,000 times and you're like, not only do I know that I'm in an arm bar, I know that my arm is mostly straight. I know that it's, I've got my thumb kind of pointed down toward their chest. So I'm pretty good so far. They haven't rotated my thumb yet. I'm still in a great position to try to escape. That's a completely different story.
Yeah.
Right. That's two people with experience training. He's trying to get the thumb at the correct angle. I'm making sure it doesn't get to the correct angle. And now we're still kind of rolling.
Now, what would you say, this might be a complicated question, but what would you say is the safest way to gain that experience? Because you have to like be in the position where you can't just like tap every time you got there. You'd have to figure it out eventually, right? When is it?
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal question. So first step, and this is true anytime you want to learn a move or a technique, you have to be able to do whatever mechanics are required for the technique without another human involved.
Yeah.
So like if you can't, let's say something like that where I'm going to need to do a back roll for like a hitchhiker. If you can't do a back roll without a person there, which I know that doesn't sound like it makes much sense, but if you can't do the move without a person there, then somebody giving you extra resistance is going to make it that much harder. Okay. So that would be completely uncontested movement. Then you have like cooperative movement where you're holding my arm, but not trying to win. Like, can I do it now that there's a person there? Right. Then can I do it semi-contested? Like if you give me, if we just start with the arm bar and we say 1, 2, 3, go, can I do it now?
Yeah.
And only once I can do it at those phases would I then try to do it against a live opponent. And I would start at the lowest level. That might be a lie. I would probably start at like blue belts.
Yeah.
I don't say the lowest level because, and I love you white belts, I really do, but you have a tendency to just crank shit. And like if I give you a straight arm, you might just crank it.
I'd be like, I'm so close to winning.
Yeah, just go crazy. And so I'd probably do it with a blue belt first, because part of that, you have a semi-straightened arm. Like it could be dangerous, right? But that's how I would build up to that.
Yeah.
And look, that might, depending on how often you train and how long you train, that might not take that long. You might be talking about a process that's hours long right there, like 2-3 hours of training, and you now are able to try it against live opponents. Versus if you only train, once or twice a week and you don't get a chance to think about it when you're not on the mats, then you might be talking about several months long of training.
Makes sense.
Before you try something like that. But that's actually part of why John Danaher, if you talk to him or have read him, he is really big on teaching people submission escapes early, and then teaching them positional escapes before he ever even really goes into like how to do a lot of the guard passing and stuff like that. He teaches in a very weird direction, but he's also teaching athletes, right? Like he's teaching them how to not get beaten for a submission game. That really doesn't do you any good if you're coming in for self-defense. It's like you're here to learn self-defense, and the first thing you learn is triangle defense and armbar defense, and you're still getting punched in the face.
It makes sense from the standpoint of jiu-jitsu.
From the
when you come in,
aspect.
you're going to be getting beat, and you're going to be just trying to survive. And
so I don't know that works completely as like a full-on
self-defense.
Like I wouldn't do that for an entire academy, but if I was running a competition team, I think that's the way to do it. By the way, Prime, what are you doing, man? Why did you just? It turns out it's just a fruit drink now. It's not even like a
like an energy drink.
Yeah, it's not even like an energy drink.
Like a Gatorade.
Kind of. Not a fan. Anyway, so there's my Prime
hot take.
Guess I'm not getting sponsored.
You ruined it. You blew it.
Oh, my chance. Jake Paul was looking at me too.
I wanted to fight you.
Yeah, I bet he's pretty tough.
Yeah,
I'd roll him in a match though.
Oh yeah, I'd roll him. He's big as fuck though. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not small.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying for me, he's bigger than me.
Yeah, good point. He's younger than me. All right, so that kind of leads into how hard you should be training, and those two are connected, right? So, like, how hard should I be training? How long should I be trying to escape this position? And I think that really is a conversation, a jiu-jitsu conversation between you and your training partner, and also the goals of you and your training partner, and the type of class you're in. Like, I think one of the biggest mistakes and one of the strongest things we do here at the academy is having different classes for different purposes. Like Not everybody is here to do competition style jiu-jitsu or even to roll at that level. You're a 38-year-old who's never been athletic in your life, coming in and doing high-level competition training, while yes, can get you in shape, is not much better for you than doing the weekend softball tournament that blows the ACL. That's everybody knows that guy, or the guy who's like never done anything and then he goes like ski boarding.
You can't go 0 to 100 in any kind of training, any kind of sport.
It just doesn't make any sense, and people try that and they get hurt. And so it's important to have like fundamental classes and kind of like classes in between to build you up to that. Yeah. But some people, like, they get to, we call them open ranks classes, but an intermediate style class, and that's good enough for them. They're happy with that. That's the level they want to train at. And I think you need to know that going in. And you can feel that out usually. So one of the things, I was talking to a guy at the camp I was at recently, and he said one of the things he noticed about me, the first time he ever rolled me, which was many years ago as a purple belt, he said, I didn't realize it then because I was just trying to beat everybody I rolled. He goes, but I learned that you were speaking jiu-jitsu with your movement. And what that really means is I was accepting whatever level or force people were giving to me, and then kind of able to catch that and reciprocate it back to them without taking it to another level.
I see what you're saying.
Right? Yeah. So my default, especially if I'm visiting places, is to roll very light, very slow. And if someone stays at that level with me, that's where I'll stay with them. Yeah. And if they go harder with me, then I'll go harder with them.
I do the same thing. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And I do that out of respect, and also because I don't know anybody there. Like, I don't know what they want. You've seen guys who you look at him and you're like, man, that guy looks like a beast. But it turns out he's got like, fused vertebrae and a terrible shoulder and a bad knee, and he might have been a beast back in the day, but now all he wants to do is like just flow roll and have a good time and train his moves, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That's going to be me one day.
Yeah, I can't even keep track of the amount of times I've rolled someone and just went with a slow, relaxed pace, and afterwards they were like, "Thank you, man. That was you're really fun to roll." And it's like, yeah, some people just really want this. Your partner does kind of set the pace, like you were saying. And if they start moving faster, they probably want you to move faster too, or else they just want to get like a cheeky win. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what happened in that roll back in the day. Was like he went real fast, real quick. Hit like
let's flow roll, and then they get the move.
Hit like a quick darce. And I did my typical, okay, man, let's go. You guys have seen a million black belts do it. We just lay down on our side and say, let's go. And then he just went balls to the wall real quick, and like he realized, years later, he was like, man, I learned so much from that experience, because he's used to just trying to win all the time. And look, there's a time for that. There's absolutely a time for that. I'm not saying there's not. There absolutely is. I think that those times and those roles should be reserved, kind of getting back to the original conversation, for competition style training or MMA style training, or every once in a while you need to test yourself. Yeah. Like, even if you're only doing this for as a hobbyist for self-defense, if you never train hard and you never roll hard, you are not going to be able to defend yourself, or you're much less likely than someone who does roll hard. Because what's going to happen when you get hit with that adrenaline dump, guys, it's a big deal. Or you feel just the aggression of an actual attack or an actual fight. It's a big deal. And you need to train like that sometimes. But one, you need to prepare your body for it. Like, it's not good to do right out the gate. I don't think white belts in their first couple months should be doing it. It's kind of like if you went out and the first time you decided to run, you just did wind sprints as fast as you can. Yeah. It's not a good idea. By the way, that's a professional advice. I am an exercise physiologist. Don't do that. Build yourself up to it so that your body can handle that stuff. Right? Yeah. And like, there's a lot of movement in jiu-jitsu that's twisting movement, torquing movement, that is not normal and very athletic in nature compared to, say, just lifting a weight, which is a very linear activity. And you need to build those mechanics up. You need to make sure you're doing them well before you go. And I'm not saying don't roll. Please don't misunderstand. I'm saying that you shouldn't roll super hard and really test it for probably a month. Let your body build up.
I think you should, if you want to get to that point, you have to condition yourself by rolling a lot
but like,
Yeah.
like not hard, but still doing a lot of your body has to be ready for the rolling. Because like you were saying, I see people get hurt when they're like, I don't know, that sometimes people will treat it like a once a week fight club and they just roll really hard. Like, oh, this is my one like hard roll, and then they're like, ah,
Hold on one second. Sorry, I had to check the mics. Looked like Tommy's had died. I don't know. We'll see. I'll find out when we do this. Hopefully it's still audible at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, you know, like check with your partner. How hard should you roll? As hard as you and your partner both want to roll. You know, once you both know what you're doing and you have a clue and you can do the right things, it's definitely worth your time to do that. I see your mic went out again, so hopefully, you know, maybe we can do this kind of thing. You know, just, yeah, look like these guys. Yeah, I can just tape it to a stick like people do on TikTok.
hold it out there.
You know, any final thoughts, Tommy?
If you're new to it, train often, but not hard. I mean, as often as you can. Don't push yourself, but find people you're comfortable to roll with, and then build up to rolling spazzy white belts or rolling hard tournament style. Or I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. All right, guys. If you have questions or comments, you think we got it wrong, tell me. Let me know in the comments. I want to hear it. Tell me what an idiot I am. Ask questions. What do you want to talk about? I'd be happy to know. I'll talk to you guys later. Oh, yeah. Did I tell you guys to like and subscribe? Did I say that? I think I have to say that, right? Like, I have to say that. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, it's obligatory. Otherwise, am I even on YouTube? I mean, feed the algorithm. Feed the monster.